Hey everyone, it's Shelby. Welcome back to my channel and another week of meal planning. On Sunday we had beef and chicken fajitas, and I grilled a little extra chicken, and we were able to use the grilled chicken for salads, for lunches for the week. It was wonderful. And I made all the trimmings, and the other thing that I did with the leftovers is for breakfast for a couple days in a row, I made omelets, carne asada and fajita, chicken fajita omelets, and we had all the trimmings. So I was able to use all of that up. And the omelets, let me say, were delicious. For dinner tonight, we're having chicken and beef fajitas. I went ahead and I prepped some onion, peppers, jalapeno, garlic, and poblano peppers. I'm gonna go ahead and saute all this up in a iron skillet, and then Ken's gonna grill some chicken and some carne asada. We'll just have fajitas for dinner tonight. I'm cooking the onions and garlic and peppers in a little bit of oil with salt and pepper in an iron skillet. The onions and the garlic and peppers have cooked, so we have those ready to go. I'm grilling some carne asada on the grill, and I also have some tequila lime chicken I'm gonna grill up for fajitas tonight, and then I can use some of the chicken in a Caesar salad later this week. Now I'm grilling some chicken cutlets that have been marinated in tequila lime marinade. Obviously there's a lot of chicken here, so we'll use some of it for dinner tonight, and then I'm going to meal prep some chicken Caesar salad. The chicken and the carne asada, Ken's cutting it up into smaller pieces. We went ahead and heated up some flour tortillas over the open flame. We have some shredded cheese, some sour cream, avocado, and pico de gallo. So we're ready for dinner. For dinner tonight, we're having carne asada, tequila lime chicken, fajita veggies, onions, peppers, garlic, pico de gallo, shredded cheese, sour cream, avocado, and flour tortillas. It looks delicious. For breakfast today, we are having some fajita omelets with sour cream, pico de gallo, guacamole, and I'm having some of the iced tea and lemonade. I think they call it an Arnold Palmer. On Monday, I fixed Steak Diane. I first had this a couple years ago in a restaurant in San Diego. We were visiting Ken's parents, and it was delish. I found the recipe online. I'll post it in the description box below. It's all about the mushroom brown sauce. I used New York strip steaks because that's what I had in the freezer. I had bought them on sale a while back, and it was perfect. I think the original recipe calls for filet, but I don't think it's so much about what type of steak you use. It's more about the sauce. But anyway, Monday was Steak Diane, and OMG, it was good. Tonight for dinner, we're having Steak Diane with a mushroom brown sauce, mashed potatoes, and sauteed spinach. Tonight I'm making Steak Diane. I have a tablespoon of olive oil, a tablespoon of butter. I'm sauteing these New York strip steaks that I've seasoned with salt and pepper over medium-high heat. I'm trying to get a sear on them, and then I'm just going to cook them till they get a little bit of color and put them on a plate and then make a pan sauce. I went ahead and I removed all the steaks. I'm just going to add one shallot, eight ounces of sliced mushrooms. These happen to be baby creminis. We're going to let those cook for a few minutes. To the pan, I'm adding a large clove of garlic, finely minced. About a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. Two teaspoons of a Dijon mustard. a heaping tablespoon of this demi-glaze. It's a veal demi-glaze. A cup of water. The demi-glaze has melted into the pan sauce. Now I'm just adding about a half a cup of a heavy whipping cream. I'm just going to return the steaks back to the pan so they can finish cooking. Along with any of those pan juices. I have this on a medium-low heat, and I'm just going to continue to cook this until the steaks are cooked completely through. That's what our plate looks like. Delicious. Tuesday, I served ground beef, enchiladas, and homemade refried beans. I had bought 5 pounds of ground beef and cooked it all up into taco flavoring. So throughout the week, the kids had walking tacos. I'll show how we make them now. I'll put a little clip in here for you. The remainder of the ground beef that has been taco flavored, I'm going to go ahead and put in this container and use it for walking tacos this week. I have some shredded lettuce, guacamole, some diced tomatoes. I also have some sour cream, shredded cheddar, and some Fritos. We're going to make some walking tacos. Okay, in our bag we have the Fritos, a little handful of shredded cheese, a dollop of sour cream. Just going to add some taco meat. Lettuce. A little guacamole. And some tomato on top. And then just go ahead and put a spoon in there and you can eat your tacos, walk and talk. I guess that's why they call them that. We also had ground beef and cheese burritos. The kids had that. So they ate on that all week long for lunches and that and whatnot. So just added some of the ground beef, taco flavored meat, some cheddar cheese. I'm going to roll it up. And then I had enough left over to make the ground beef enchiladas and the refried beans, and it was wonderful. I cooked up some pinto beans in the slow cooker. I'm going to let them cool a little bit, get them packaged up. I'm going to make refried beans with these later this week. I have some oil heating up in my skillet. Now I'm going to take some of that onions that I meal prepped earlier this week. Start those to cook in. I got the enchiladas already in the oven warming up. I'm going to add a little salt, some pepper, We're going to cook these for a few minutes. To the pan, I'm adding 4 tablespoons of butter. I'm just roasting a poblano chili over an open flame. You want it to be all blistered and black. After the pepper has roasted, just put it in a bowl and cover it with some plastic wrap and let it steam for 10 minutes. It's been about 10 minutes, and steaming it helps get the skin off really easy. What I like to do is use a paper towel, and the skin just kind of comes right off. You just use it to kind of brush the skin right off. Get all the charred part off. Then I'm just going to seed this and get it chopped up. I'm going to add the jalapeno. And the poblano chili. The garlic. It smells so good. Once the onions and peppers soften, add the beans. I added half of the beans. I'm going to start mashing them. And then add the other half of the beans. Mash those. I'm just going to let these beans cook on medium-low heat while the enchiladas are warming up in the oven. Beans look great. So I'm just going to top them with a little bit of shredded cheddar. And these are going to be delicious with our dinner. Doing that meal prep really helped get this on the table quick tonight. For dinner tonight, we're having the ground beef and cheese enchiladas with the refried beans, a little sour cream, cilantro, and avocado. And doing meal prep this week really helped get dinner on the table. On Wednesday, I fried up some country fried pork chops and made some chunky apples that I had on hand that were kind of long in the tooth. They were getting ready to go off, so I used those up. And I made a new recipe that, well, it's new to me, funeral potatoes. And these were delicious. Next time I would half the recipe because it made an enormous amount. So for dinner tonight, I cooked some country fried pork chops with chunky apples, green beans, and funeral potatoes. You will need 8 tablespoons of butter, 6 tablespoons for the recipe, a tablespoon for buttering the baking dish, and a tablespoon for the topping. 1 medium onion diced, 2 cloves of garlic, 2 cups of chicken stock, 2 cups of cheese. You could use cheddar or a blend of Monterey Jack and cheddar. I have a cup of milk, 1/4 a cup of flour with salt and pepper to taste, 1/4 a cup of Parmesan cheese, 1 cup sour cream. I also have a 30-ounce bag of hash browns, and I have an 8-ounce bag of the kettle cooked potato chips. All right, let's get started. I preheated the oven to 350 and I greased a 13 by 9 inch pan with 1 tablespoon of butter. In a large skillet, I'm melting 6 tablespoons of butter, the onion, salt, and pepper. I'm going to let this cook until the onions are soft and really cooked down. The onions are looking great, so I'm going to add the garlic. Give that a big stir. As soon as the garlic hits the pan, it smells wonderful. Now I'm going to add the flour. And I want to let this cook for a minute or so. Been a minute. Now we're going to add the milk. And the chicken broth. Stirring this all together. I'm going to cook it over medium heat until it starts to thicken. It just takes a couple of minutes to start, boiling and getting thick. Once it does that, go ahead and turn off the heat. Add the cheese and the sour cream. Go ahead and get it all incorporated. we take our sauce and pour it over the potatoes. And then just incorporate the two. Once the potato and sauce mixture is incorporated, you'll want to turn it out into your baking dish. For the topping, I crumbled the 8-ounce chips into small pieces and sprinkled on the Parmesan cheese. I melted that reserved tablespoon of butter. Just give it a big toss. And we're going to use this as a topping for the casserole. Just put the chips on top, and we're gonna cover this with foil for the first 20 minutes of baking into a 350-degree preheated oven for 20 minutes. The potatoes have been cooking for 20 minutes. I'm gonna take off the foil, return them to the oven for another 15-20 minutes until they're bubbly and golden on top. And that's what the funeral potatoes are gonna look like. They smell delicious, let me tell you. I have my big iron skillet heated up with a little bit of oil, and I've just dusted some pork chops with a little bit of flour, and I'm going to start cooking these up. I think these will go nicely with the funeral potatoes. I seasoned with salt and pepper. I have 5 apples cut up, a 1/4 cup of sugar, a teaspoon of cinnamon, and I'm going to put the juice of 1 lemon in here and make some chunky applesauce. I'm just going to cook this over a medium heat until the apples become soft. That's what our plate looks like. Thursday we grilled cheeseburgers, and I made homemade onion rings, and we served it with fresh fruit. The onion rings were unbelievable, and I didn't film it. I could kick myself because they were so good. But don't worry, the kids and Ken have already requested cheeseburgers and onion rings on the menu for next week. So I will film those for sure for you. They are the best onion rings we've ever eaten. For dinner tonight, we're having cheeseburger sliders, fresh fruit, and I made homemade onion rings for Ken and the kids. Friday, I tried one of the Pioneer Women's freezer meals, and what it is, it's enough for 2 13-by-9 pans. I served 1 for dinner, and then I have 1 in the freezer. So it was definitely worth my time. 2 things. I would definitely serve it with like garlic knots, homemade garlic knots, or French bread or something like that. I will be making it again, but I'll serve it with like a real simple salad and either French bread or garlic knots, because there's the sauce that you want to use the bread and kind of sop it up because it's pretty good. The second thing, when making the recipe, you saute the shrimp in some butter in olive oil, and then you add that to the mixture. I think I would use a slotted spoon to take out the shrimp, onions, and garlic, and just use that leftover oil that was in the pan to make the Alfredo sauce, instead of adding it all to the filling and then making the Alfredo sauce with more butter. I thought that was kind of unnecessary. So I'm going to be making that change the next time I make it, and serving it with some kind of garlic bread or garlic knots or something like that. It was a wonderful recipe. It was somewhere in between shrimp scampi meets Alfredo sauce. Delish. Today I'm making the Pioneer Woman's shrimp scampi stuffed shells. Sounds really delicious. And this recipe makes 2 big 13 by 9s. So we'll have one for dinner tonight, and then we can have one to put in the freezer. And I broke her recipe up into 4 sections: cooking the pasta, and then cooking the onions, garlic, and shrimp, and then the filling to go inside the pasta, and then it has like a shrimp scampi garlic sauce that goes over it. So I thought that made more sense than just trying to break the recipe down to manageable parts. So I'm going to start with the first one, cook the pasta. I can do that. I'm going to do step 1. I have boiling salted water, and I'm adding a package of those big, large, jumbo shells. I guess it's a 12-ounce box, and we'll cook those until they get cooked through. In my pan, I have 1/4 a cup of olive oil, 4 tablespoons of butter, salt, pepper, red pepper flakes, 1 onion minced, and I think it was 6 cloves of garlic, and I've been cooking this for a while. I'm going to add 2 pounds of shrimp that I cut in half. I cut them in half because they were kind of big shrimp, and then just cook this until the shrimp is cooked through. Once the shrimp have cooked through, you add the juice of 1 lemon, and then go ahead and turn off the heat and let this mixture cool. In my bowl, I have 2 8-ounce cream cheese that is room temperature, 2 cups of ricotta, a cup of Parmesan cheese, 3 cups of shredded mozzarella, and an egg. I'm going to beat this all up with my hand mixer. Now that we have all of this filling mixed together, we're going to add the shrimp, garlic butter to this mixture. Now we're going to use this mixture to stuff the shells. In my frying pan, I have 8 tablespoons of butter, 4 cloves of garlic. I'm adding 1/4 a cup of flour. I'm going to make a roux and then add 4 cups of whole milk and 2 cups of heavy cream. I think this is going to be kind of good. This is going to be the sauce that goes on to our shells. The sauce has come to a boil and it's starting to thicken. I'm going to put half of the sauce on each of the casseroles. One of them I'm going to put into a warm oven and heat it at 350 for 25 minutes. The second casserole I'm going to cover in saran wrap and then aluminum foil and get it in the freezer for a future meal. I'm just going to serve the casserole with a very simple salad with a olive oil and red wine vinegar dressing. So that's what it looks like, and it's a big hit with the family. It's between a cross between shrimp scampi and Alfredo sauce wrapped up in these ginormous shells. It is good. On Saturday, I didn't cook. We actually ordered out sushi. Ken went and picked it up. We have it a couple of minutes from where we live. And we celebrated our kids' grades. They are all out of school. They all did well this year in school. And we wanted to do something special. So they loved sushi. And so that's what we had for dinner. For dinner tonight, we're having some sushi to celebrate our boys. They did such a good job with their grades this semester, and their salad and soup and rolls and what is this called again? Masago. I forgot about that. Anyway, that's what we're having for dinner. There's fresh ginger and
guacamole.
That is not guacamole.
Wasabi.
That's wasabi. Oh my gosh. But anyway, it looks delicious. There's a little bit of everything in here. I'm so glad they got good grades. Mama doesn't have to cook if she gets sushi. Well, that was our meal plan for this week. I hope you guys have a great week and happy meal planning. Until the next video, talk to you guys later.